Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 242 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Today, we're going to talk about Cutter Gauthier. That's right. You've been asking for it. I think somebody asked for it like a month ago. And here we are. Just so happened More Insider decided to win an award. And we cut back on our episode totals per week. And I almost was kind of hoping you weren't going to message today. And you were like, "What time today?" And I like out loud said, "Fuck," because my whole family's sick. It's just you send your kids to daycare. I feel like this has been we've had this conversation multiple times on the show, but yeah, kids go to daycare and they bring diseases home, and it's awful. And I'm sick right now. I just want to go to bed, but we've got to talk. We only have till July 8th to talk about these stupid prospects. So we got to get out a stupid episode. Hey, Chewy, what's going on? That makes me feel better.
Chewy.
You're doing good, Chewy.
Chewy, Matt, our Red Wings Rant needs you now more than ever. So very excited that you're here. Matt, I couldn't be more excited for this episode. We're going to talk about Cutter Gauthier. Mm-hmm. Huh? Listen to that pronunciation. Yeah, I really wanted to say Cutter Gauthier, but, I put that aside just for you, buddy. Also, how do you like in my room? It looks like I'm moving, but actually my significant other has decided she wants to rearrange her books, and so she removed them from the bookshelf, and now they're all over the floor.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you might notice if you guys are watching on YouTube that my shelves are more bare because I'm preparing to move. So there's some Funko Pops missing over here. Right now, I just have Pavel and Jimmy Howard, and then my Nicholas Lidstrom book, my signed Nicky book left over. Yeah, I don't know. It's
you got to pack. It's almost draft day, and you're going to be gone. You're going to be going to a new team, Matt. I think we had a few nuggets before we jumped into Cutter. Matt
Silver says, "Here's your good
Gauthier."
Yeah. Now I like to think of goat right before I say it because it's possible. Mike, he could be the greatest of all time. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to, but I do think of goat. I think goat. Thinking of goat before you say Cutter's last name is a good way to put your mind in the right space. But Silver, I still like this. Gauthier.
Yeah, see what I did is I said Goach and yay. Mine was like Goach yay.
Now what's a Goach? What do you just memorize Goach?
It does seem like it would be in the gonad region, but yeah.
Grabbing your Goach.
Yeah.
Wiggling around.
Giving it a big yay. That's what I think we're doing. But yeah, we got a new champion. I thought we would just spend 60 seconds on that. Colorado destroyed the mighty Goliath down in Florida. Disgusting. Tampa Bay, they're going to break up that band and trade Kucherov over here, right?
Are we calling that destroyed? I feel like we're pretty close to a Game 7.
Look at that cool picture, though. Man.
Yeah, it is. I was wondering, Mike, I wanted to ask you when I saw this picture.
Is that from the DVD cover for the season?
Of course. I was going to ask you if the Red Wings. Now somebody did point out online on Twitter every time the Avalanche win the Cup, the Red Wings win it the next year. So that'll be fun to see what they come up with next year. Our graphic.
You old dogs. Yeah.
But I was going to say, Mike, if we had this, do you think?
Yeah.
Because I think there's somebody missing from this, but do you think Steve Yzerman would have made this picture?
Steve Yzerman made this picture. Oh, you mean a Red Wing version?
Yeah. So, yeah, for anybody listening to the podcast, we're looking at, as Mike put it, like it looks like the DVD cover for the Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup season DVD. I don't know if DVDs are still a thing for the kids at home. So it's just like a movie poster.
Just pretend it's the streaming thumbnail. That's what we're It's kind of like a DVD cover. It's the streaming icon thumbnail for the movie you're about to watch.
I feel like
Yeah.
you've got a really big picture of Landy here too, and I think the guy who's in the running for the greatest player in the NHL right now is a pretty tiny picture.
Yeah, interesting
in,
decision.
Cale Makar.
Interesting decision.
But like I said, notably missing, which I think is a huge part for this team, because this has been something where for like the last couple of seasons, you would have attached to this team any high profile free agent, anybody that was looking for their next Stanley Cup, because they did such a great job screwing over Nathan McKinnon, even though he's not having such a great night as I saw on Twitter. I'm not going to get into that because I didn't read any of the details. Just looks like everybody's mad at Nathan. Again, I don't know what it is. I'm sleepy and sick. We'll just move on from that. But anyway, they did a great job underpaying Nathan McKinnon. They've got a Cale Makar who's yet to get paid what he deserves. So yeah, to that end, it's still built great. Like you made a lot of good decisions, right? So I would have put Sakic on here. And Mike, that's where I asked you, do you think Stevie Y would have made it to our poster? I wanted to say ours instead of ours. I made an effort and I ruined it because now I'm explaining it. Anyway, do you want to answer one of those questions? I don't know. I keep talking. I won't stop.
I feel like
won't stop, can't stop.
if Yzerman had a vote, he would not want his face on this. I think he would prefer to have maybe the faces of the GMs that he swindled in trades over the years. I think because they have directly impacted the team's roster positively. So
well,
it'd be a fun collage of.
Let's paint a picture. Let's do season 1 game or no, maybe it was episode 1, season 2 Game of Thrones. Along the walls of, help me out. What's the castle where the throne is? What's the city?
It is called Dragonland.
The walls are lined with the heads of all of the conquered leaders and kings from around West.
I know we're in Westeros. I can do that.
Yeah. So, yeah. Mike, would it be fun to have all of the conquered GMs heads on a pike, just like kind of like bordering, maybe not bordering, but like you see like Groovy's head there, like if it was just behind all the players there, like just like a subtle nod, and you just kind of did like as best you could, like a little caricature for each GM that had been screwed over by Stevie Y. Is there a better way to do it? Because I feel like that's the best way.
I do like that a lot. It does kind of get my
your noodle going?
It does get my my little noodle going. I do like that phrase as well. But again, Yzerman would definitely defer, and he'd say, "No, I don't want to be part of this creative thing." So I think the other thing I would really want is all the receipts. Thank you, Eric Johnson, for King's Landing.
King's Landing.
I want all the
Eric
receipts.
Also throws in there. Hi, guys.
Well, you're not very high, Eric, because you dropped that, and we desperately needed it. Neither of us are under the influence of lettuce. Yeah, maybe all the receipts for all the times that people said Yzerman didn't know what he was doing with his draft picks. I would like that under the walls as well.
Silver 3344. I never noticed my Midwestern accent said ours instead of ours until just now. Thank you for that, Matt. No problem, Silver. I love pointing that out. I make an effort to say soda because I don't want to be. I really don't care if somebody else says pop. It's not like Reese's Pieces, which drives me up a fucking wall. But yeah, I'm a soda boy.
You're a soda boy?
I'm just a soda boy.
Our family drinks pop. Anyway.
Go away.
We actually had some viewership for the Stanley Cup, Matt?
Yeah, we had where is it? We had an increase of 89 average 4.6 million viewers, up 89% from last year's Stanley Cup final. The Stanley Cup playoffs across ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, TNT, and TBS averaged 1.4 million viewers, up 39% from last year. So when you take your sport and you put it on real television channels, people can find it. This isn't them reporting like, oh, we broke records. This is just like increases, I think, because it's easier to find this sport. I don't know about you, Mike. I'm forced to watch Sports Center at work. I have ESPN on in front of my desk.
Yeah.
And isn't that funny? I'll just sidetrack here a little bit. Like, it's normal, right? Like, the workspace, everybody has like a TV in front of their desk. Like, I'm not distracted by it all day, but it is kind of funny. Like, that's now the norm. Like, from somewhere, your vantage point, from your desk, and whatever company you work for, there's like a TV that you can see.
It's definitely a shred of normalcy. I think if I was walking around and there wasn't like sports on in the background with some sort of crawler with information I don't really need, I would be a little concerned. I'd be like, these are end times.
But anyway, I was going to say that Sports Center does now do a good job. I don't even know if it's called Sports Center. Whatever's on ESPN from, I get to work at like 8 till noon. It's the same thing over and over. But they would just continuously go over the Stanley Cup Finals. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. It was very weird. I'm not used to seeing that. I'm used to seeing like maybe the box score and then like, LeBron James noticing the score on his phone and going, wow, those boys can ball. There's no ball in this game. Very excited for the NHL to actually be in front of eyeballs. Bagel versus Boggle. I don't know, Silver. I think we're going Bagel on that one. I'm doing a AY.
Yeah,
a hard A on that one. Yeah.
Eric.
No, the other thing,
Eric humbling us here a little bit. He says, "I work on roofs. There's no TV up here."
There can be, Eric. If you bring a TV,
you're
gonna get great reception up there, my man.
You got to check in with your leader, which would be yourself, Eric, and see if you allow yourself to bring a TV. That is actually another nice thing. Even if you're sick of your watching ESPN, you just whip out the old phone. Which brings up, Mike, did we talk about this in the last episode? We did
gloss over it.
So I did it. I cut the cord last week after we finished recording, Mike. So we did talk about it last week, but it's official. Matt is going all in on Bally Sports Plus. They tried to keep me. Now, Mike, this is why I brought this up, because I thought you'd like this. I wanted to bring it up with we have a mutual friend as well. I thought he would get a laugh out of this. So I'll just tell him later.
Yeah.
Call Comcast or, canceling my Xfinity cable. She's telling me all the reasons I should keep it. Do you watch local news? No. Do you watch this? No. Do you watch that? No. And she's like going through her list, and she's reading these notes of just like, I want to make sure that I'm not, you're not missing something and you have to call us later and get it back. So I'm doing the best I can just for you. And I'm like, that's great. I'm pretty solid on not doing this. And she's like, well, let's see. You don't sound like a guy who'd care about local sports. And I went, what? And she just went, you don't sound like, do you like local sports? And I was like, that's the only thing I've been watching on Xfinity. So yeah. I didn't know. I know. I don't, I don't come in with one of these, but I didn't think I came off as surely you who've never watched a baseball game in your life.
Yeah.
Kind of voice. But apparently I do. I was tickled by it, but at that point it was easy for me to say enough's enough.
After that insult to your manhood, you said, that's it. I'm done. So
now,
what's the cost here?
For anybody, so Bally Sports Plus for the whole year is $200.
That's like what I spend a month on Xfinity.
Yes. I cut $120 off of my Xfinity bill by just going internet. So anybody considering it, I'm all for it. I think it's going to be great for my bank account. Yeah, go for it.
What are you going to do for premium games that are on like TNT or TBS? Will you just not be watching?
I will be watching those on Hulu. I experimented and I watched the Stanley Cup Finals on Hulu.
Are you paying for? So you're paying for Hulu Live?
Oh, no, I'm not. I just have Hulu. I have Hulu,
Oh.
Disney Plus, ESPN Plus. I could also watch it on ESPN Plus. The ESPN.
Like games on TNT?
I couldn't say for TNT, but I have watched TNT games on Hulu. So those are my answers to those.
Well, that's certainly enough answer for me. I guess I have an Xfinity phone call in my future. That's all I cared about. If I have Hulu and Bally and I save, what is that, 60 to $80 a month, well, I'm going to be a rich man and going to be buying a boat. Woo! Can't wait.
All right, so let's talk about Cutter, Mike.
Yeah.
We'll bring him back up here.
Matt, this is a position in need here. He's a legit centerman, allegedly, at 6'3". He does play a lot of left wing, though. But please, God, have him negotiate with his agent to make sure he's always listed as a center.
Yeah, we just want him listed as a center, so we feel more comfortable filling out our J Fresh rosters at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. When I saw him play, I the highlights, it doesn't really focus on him being a center. He was just kind of creeping up the wing a lot and just letting rip that big power shot. So yeah, very excited to talk about this guy, especially because his comparisons, man, were hurdle to turtle. A guy I was very excited about before the trade deadline, and then obviously the Red Wings did not acquire him. So this could be our little Leopold Stotch Butters from South Park void filler for Tomas Hertl. Very excited to talk Cutter today.
Yeah, I saw. So he's been getting some comparisons to Pacioretty, which feels pretty good. Now, this is Elite Prospects finally came out, and we talked about this last week. They came out with their full rundown for each player. It's like multiple pages when you're going through the top 30, and then they'll. I think the total number of pages for this is like 500 pages, something like that, from Elite Prospects, which is just insane. And it was properly described as the go-to source for NHL sickos like us, people who have a podcast once a week, Mike, and talk to their, what do we have, 10 to 12 buddies who join us every week? Chewy, Eric, Silver, you guys are our boys right now.
Performance art and his real name, whatever that was. Johnny, I remember now. Johnny P. Go ahead. Sorry. I didn't want to forget.
So we're talking, did we go through the 6'3", 201 pounds? We've got a grade of A, just overall for Cutter. That doesn't hurt. But I like these. They rank these guys, and we've gone through one of their top scouts, Mike. We're a huge fan. Is it Saint Antoine? What was his name?
Saint Jean Condliar.
Let's hem and haw, and we'll figure out.
I think that's a Norm Macdonald bit where he just made up a French guy. Rest in peace, Norm.
Let's do this. Mike, read through those stats. Well, I want to give this guy an actual name. This is ridiculous. We should be able to give this guy a name.
Well, I don't know if we have stats up, but we just had, where Elite Prospects was scoring
Ranking
a few of, the ranks for the whole draft, they're saying for best motor, number 5 in the whole draft. My God. For best shot, Matt, there's only 3 guys ahead of him. He's at number 4. As far as, Matt, give me all the, not just the, dipsy doodling forwards. I don't want any dipsy doodlers on my team. Give me a power forward. No, not the top 3. I want the top 2. Then you'd be like, I got a guy for you. Cutter Gauthier.
There you go. I heard that hesitation.
You gotta ease in. You can't just jump in the pool. It might be cold. So yeah, I mean that's Elite Hockey Prospects. I think we kind of trust them. My only beef is, Matt, what is the scale for the skating, shooting, passing, puck handling, hockey sets, and physical? I hope it's not out of 10, because there's a lot of 5s.
I think it's out of 7. I'm scrolling here, so it's David, the name we were looking for, the
Jacques Delamilliere.
David Saint Louis.
Yes.
All right. Can you guys hear my mouse scrolling?
Oh yeah, it's very loud. Yeah.
It's very annoying.
Yeah.
I'm I think we're scoring these. Let's say 8. And here's my reasoning. You ready? Shane Wright has a 7.5 for hockey sense. So I'm just gonna say the top score he could have gotten was an 8, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Is there
Well, why don't you look that up? And I'm just going to drop a quote from one of Cutter's coaches here in the under 18 league. We gave Gauthier 3 things to be a power forward. Ask yourself every game, am I moving my feet? Am I playing physical? And am I getting to the inside? Now, Cutter, narrow the focus on those 3 things. When you watch him now, I think he nails those 3 things. Matt, I didn't know that we treated these guys like actual kids, because that was pretty condescending coaching advice. But, sometimes it's that kind of advice that gets you ranked as the number 2 power forward in the whole draft. So it must have worked.
All right, so let's talk about power forward. Let's talk about he's coming in with what did we say? Did we say 4th best shot?
They're ranking him as the 4th best shot. Yeah.
Let's watch this.
We've got our boy. What is this pro hockey prospect?
Yeah.
Man, I'm really feeling how sick I am right now. All right, let's just talk about feelings, right? Because we said if he's actually going to roll in as a center, okay, cool, that works. If we talk about,
there's a free ad.
Yay! Do you guys need a rowing machine? This is such a mess right now. All right. Well,
Isn't
the other
it fun
thing
to
I
be
wanted
sick?
to bring up was our forwards, and we're talking about a power forward was the question I was asking you. And Mike, we've got obviously Rasmussen at 6'6". We've got a Soderblom who is incoming at 6'8". Cutter 6'3".
The dwarf.
I'm rolling through the heights here. He is comparable right now with who's on the roster as the season ended with Sundqvist, like I mentioned, the 6'6" Rasmussen, and I believe that'd be it from the forward perspective. I mean, if we're getting a guy that we're calling, a great shot, can skate pretty well, can create pretty well, I'd say this fills maybe not just the word need, but I think there's always a want, right, to get this kind of size. And what he's getting comparisons to Hurdle and Pacioretty, and we've already talked about. I mean, I think we talked in nauseam about picking up Hurdle while the season was still rolling, and we were trying to peg who is our free agent of choice. And of course, he's not an option, but you kind of could cross off some boxes here. Like the timeline isn't exactly perfect, but if you're looking for that type of player and you're playing this game, will he be, are we still looking for a 1C? Are we just looking to fill out a center in the top 6? This is a guy who at least points you in that right direction. And if things don't work out and you get a winger, you get a guy with a hell of a shot and has a lot of size. And as much as the Detroit Red Wings Twitter account would have you believe that Michael Rasmussen made leaps and bounds this season, I don't think he leapt and bounded enough for me to see a top 6 forward. So that being said, I know we're still talking about Rasmussen being a center. He also played very well as a winger this year. So I guess the point I'm making is that there's still plenty of room for a 6'3" guy with the second best shot in the draft this year. So I think there's 2 ways to answer this question, Mike, as we're watching Cutter kind of rip up
some high schoolers.
Well, at least this is international play. Ripping a good one there from who was that? Was that Cooley that was passing that?
Yeah, that's what's so hard about watching these highlights too. Is
you can't really.
I mean, he's playing with. Well, I mean, he's playing with some superstars, like the guys who are ranked above him, in the draft this year. So you don't really know if you're, watching an A+ guy or a guy who's really good at being on the coattails. So it's just kind of like, can you see a path where the Red Wings draft this guy? And I could definitely see where he would endear himself to Red Wing fans because there's a lot of them who still want, that gritty guy with a little bit of beef on him. And we looked at a lot of these prospects, and there's a lot of skin and bones out there this year. A lot of guys with, the 18-year-old bodies. But this is one of the few guys that has a little bit of size. So I think it's going to be easy for him to, look appealing in that way. I don't know if he quite has that unicorn size that Yzerman has so fetishized in his last couple of Red Wing drafts.
Red Wing fans.
And Lightning drafts. There's some very tall people on that team. I don't know if I see it with Cutter because I think we've talked about it a few times on this show. Like, do you want a guy who's going to be ready in 1 to 2 years, to play in the NHL? Or, are you maybe going to prioritize, a guy who's maybe has a lower floor, but maybe has the highest ceiling? So maybe they come into this game with like their game has like an incredible shot, or they're a real speedster, like the best skater in the draft. I guess you could see a few people ranked him higher than others. I saw one spot, I think he was ranked as high as number 3. But I've seen him bottom out at like 14. Some had him in the 20s. Who did we have? Forgive me, man. Who did we talk about last week? Because their competition was men.
Well, last week we talked about Cider.
2 episodes ago.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
It was.
We've talked about Maddie Savoy. We've talked about Frank Nazar.
Lekaramaki.
There you go.
Was the one who played against men. So I just, it feels like a stronger barometer when you're watching the tape to be like, okay, he's playing against people who are, adults with babies, playing for jobs, and here he's playing against, 17 and 18-year-olds, and they're, empty stadiums for the most part. So I don't know what kind of, pressure you're really under in those kind of games. Besides, you got 20 scouts, just watching with pencils and paper. So he would probably be a fine product, prospect in the system. I know that we kind of whined in the past couple drafts, what kind of forward size are we acquiring? But doesn't look like we had a real issue with Lucas Raymond. He's doing pretty well for himself. He's not that large. So I could kind of see a path with Cutter. I wouldn't put he's not in my top 4. Just because I don't know if he really brings that, one elite skill that he has that mega ceiling that I'm pursuing, at that spot in the draft where you're starting to get away from the sure things, like a Shane Wright, and you're picking the warts, and which warts do you want to be, willing to work with coaching style or coaching wise. Cutter, he's 6'3". He's got a shot. I don't know if he's actually going to be a center. I think he's just bigger than a lot of the other 18-year-olds, so they let him take faceoffs. That was kind of what I picked up. So I don't want to hate him. He might be the best in the whole draft. What do we know? We're watching 18-year-old kids on grainy footage, many times without multiple angles for the camera. One stationary camera at center ice that just kind of pans left and right like an oscillating fan. But, so what if he played on an all-star team of Americans? Maybe he is going to turn into something. But for my money, not who I would pick.
What I wanted to ask you, too, like, I didn't actually get this question out, but would you be upset if he got picked? Was kind of where I feel like we come at these. And then, like, next week, I figure we'll give our, like, who do we actually want to take? But would I be upset if we took a Cutter? I think I could see enough here that I would trust that it fits the Yzer plan, and that there's a couple different ways that you could find success with Cutter. And maybe we don't see enough of the elite shot here. But I think there's enough going around from, I don't know, at least elite prospect scouts that we could say there is a significantly better shot. There's as they put it, a high motor on this guy too. So I would say I wouldn't be upset by it, but I hear you on the point of, is that the guy you'd go for? Because you were talking about high ceilings. You would find Cutter on this list as I went through like elite prospects and all their rankings. You'd find Cutter on there, but he was number 5 on just one guy's list. Consistently on the top of everyone's list, Frank Nazar, above Shane Wright, believe it or not. Yeah. But ultimately that's where I'd land, right? I'm landing in the spot of you have Steve Yzerman go up to the podium. I don't know how they're doing it this year in Montreal, but Steve Yzerman goes up to the podium. They say Cutter. Me, angry? Nah. Maybe a little bummed if, like I mentioned, Nazar a second ago. Maybe. But they're also, I think there's one quick conversation we could have, Mike. We have, let's see, how do I want to pull this up here? Bob McKenzie. We've talked about it since we started discussing the NHL draft. Bob McKenzie's list. That's it. That's what happens. That's how these guys get drafted. For some reason, that's the truth. But let me finish.
Yeah.
Bob McKenzie, week before the draft, Juraj Slafkovsky, number 1 on his list. Shane Wright, number 2. Mike?
Dropping bombs.
You trade up? Get Shane Wright at number 2?
I mean, what are we doing here? How else are we going to get a top center?
I'm going to say you've got a center that could probably be ready to go this year.
What are we doing this for? We're trying to get a top center. If the trade's on the table and I'm, not having to pull my pants down and give up, Edmondson, yeah, I'm making that move.
All right. I totally agree. And I would even listen to a conversation about Edmondson. Depends.
We do
on the trade, but I'm not necessarily looking at Edmondson right now and saying that's Moritz Seider 2.0. I think we have enough there that we could be excited about it. But I would just say if we're talking about picking up Shane Wright, and that's, I don't know. I feel like that's a really important conversation. It depends on what Steve sees. If Steve makes the move, I'm 100% on board. I think we are all still drinking that Steve Kool-Aid, but I'm not, if I'm making a list, Mike, would you trade Lucas Raymond? Would he be a part of that trade? Because I'm not putting Moritz Seider on there. Seider, we're good. We're done. Moritz Seider, Red Wing for life.
No, because the whole point of this is to get NHL players, and I don't think that we can do a guy who's already proven he can be in the NHL. We don't know if Shane Wright can, but we know Lucas can.
Okay. I think that's legit. That's a good argument. I guess.
But I do want to bring this back to Cutter though, because I don't want to go too far into the maybes. Let me pose this to you. So Cutter, I've definitely just given him a lot of grief as a guy who I don't feel has a huge ceiling. But of the guys we've talked about, I feel weirdly confident that he would definitely have a job in the NHL.
Cutter is number 5 on that same list we were just talking about, so he's only a few spaces behind Shane Wright on that same Bob McKenzie list. But go ahead.
No, I just feel pretty confident that this guy can find a job in the NHL. As a maybe a 3rd or 4th line winger center with a shot. He's got a little size. Mm-hmm. He's really good at focusing on 3 things, and then becoming a top power forward in the draft at least. And I would honestly, it's weird that of a lot of the guys we talked about, I'm going to pick on my buddy Lambert, Brad Lambert, the guy with the best skating in the draft. I think he's got a really high ceiling, but if he never panned out and never really became a scorer, also would not be surprised. So it's weird that I would still, of those two, roll the dice on Lambert rather than take Cutter, just because of the prospect of what he could be.
Well, Silver's got Soderblom, the 8th pick, a 2nd round, and a 5th round to move up.
Silver, I don't know how you trade a Hall of Famer like Elmer Soderblom, so I got to say he's off the table. Absolutely not trading him. Anybody else? You can't talk me into trading Soderblom. I've waited too long watching these prospect lists and highlight videos. I want to see this unicorn in real life.
Dan B throws out there, make sure you don't draft size alone. Rasmussen is huge, but plays small. Always take most talent over position. Dan, does the high rankings for the motor that we talked about on elite prospects, does that change anything for you? Because
And keep in mind that we have not criticized him for his skating. It's not elite, but it's not, Rasmussen bad.
Right, and when Rasmussen was picked up, like, he seems to have lived and brought to the table everything that scouting reports said, don't draft Rasmussen for these reasons, and then they kind of came to fruition. I did want to point out, too, Eric pointed out a while back, Nazar was the center on Gauthier's line. He does also throw it. I could be wrong, though. But I think we did see on some of those highlights that Nazar was involved in there.
That's part of the problem, too, right? Because that's how they can all say that they're all centers and wings, because they all kind of interchange with each other. So it's really a tough job for Yzerman trying to pick one of these guys.
Real quick, Curtis wants to know. He was tweeting at us. He left family dinner to ask, has Derek Lalonde been hired yet? I am adamant he will be hired tomorrow morning after this episode goes live for the podcast. But Silver does say he comes back to that trade. For a who says no, Mike says no. Silver.
I'm not trading the Hall of Famer. No, sorry, Silver.
And Eric throws in there too. Jersey might be looking for a D-man. I think that is very true. And I think that's where maybe that conversation starts. Now, Mike, another interesting little nugget here. Lekkerimaki on Mackenzie's list falls at number 8. Of course, that would mean if nothing changes, guess what happens? We get Lekkerimaki. And Mike, number 16 on this list.
Uh-oh. Brad?
Your boy, Brad.
My boy?
Yeah. So, would you trade back? Or maybe we play trade up, but just to the middle of the draft, which, of course, would be a much easier pick to land. Red Wings play the same game 2 years in a row, walk away with 2 first-round picks. Also, I do want to point out Frank Nazar, number 15 on the list.
Oh,
Lambert,
no.
number 16. So you could really play a fun game there if it goes that route.
Yeah.
Cutter Gauthier, number 13. I think we walked away not too thrilled with Cutter Gauthier, but like we just mentioned a second ago, Frank Nazar rated to have the highest ceiling from elite prospects. So a lot to like there.
I'd be willing to see what happens there. Can we just a quick little pivot to Derek Lalonde?
Chewy's got it. Do it like the Pistons.
Chewy.
God damn, was that a fun draft?
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of cool. The Lions scored, ranked really well, but the Pistons, whoo-hoo-wee! I was giggling my buns off when Sacramento butchered another first-round pick by letting arguably the best athlete in the draft fall to our beloved Pistons. But that's another podcast if I could talk Matt into it, or do a Piston podcast. But Matt, for Derek Lalonde, this is not what I wanted. I didn't want just an assistant from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm sorry. I wanted my guy from Europe.
Well, it appears that every article about the Detroit Red Wings right now that's been coming out for, the news and Freep and MLive and your little hockey blogs.
That's why we had this weird void. What is Yzerman interviewing anybody? How come we don't have a coach yet?
Well,
he's waiting for him to lose the Stanley Cup Finals. That's what he wants, a loser.
But we said there'd be a coach before the NHL draft, so it's got to happen soon. And like I said, watch out for it. This is 9:00 on June 28th. It will be happening June 29th. The Red Wings will announce their new stupid coach. Coming back to Dan B, I asked him earlier how he feels about the compete level that oh my gosh. I got to tell you, I got to hit the timeout button here for a second. I told you my whole family's sick. I am getting chills and aches like you wouldn't believe, and I'm such a dumb shit because I'm standing to record this episode.
Man, I'm starting to feel that too, just thinking about that Lalonde news tomorrow. I'm getting really nauseous.
I'm going to throw up. All right. I'm sorry, Dan. We asked you the question about what was it? About the hard work.
Oh, the compete.
The compete. Yeah, I'm going to throw up.
Don't do it, man. Stay in there.
But Dan,
just swallow it.
Him, since we asked him, I wanted to read his answer. I'll always give the advantage to guys who play hard every shift, like Bertuzzi's compete level. Dan, I am not making a joke about throwing up on your answer. I think I'm going to throw up here in a minute.
Well, you make sounds like that. That's like a pre-vomit, man. Jesus.
All right. It's like 60 degrees down in my basement, which is where I record, and I am sweating my balls off right now. This is one of the oh my god. Whew. Okay, let's keep going. Silver does throw out there, let's trade back. We still got to think about depth. Silver, that is a great point. I think that's kind of like once I saw the Bob McKenzie list and I saw a couple of our favorite guys who have those high ceilings, like Mike was talking about, are falling to the middle of the pack. It's not anything where I think if we look at our GM, like he's not going to take those phone calls. He's not already planning on making calls himself. But I just think we focused a lot on the 8th pick, and it might be worth it, Mike. Maybe we drop back and we go back to back and get Nazar and Brad Lambert. Maybe that's an option. So we could walk away and just kind of load the deck, right? Like we've talked about how weak we are center wise. We just keep having all of these question marks and you kind of shrug your shoulders. Like, I don't know, maybe they could be good. And we don't have sure things. Now you're going back. You're moving back in the draft, then we're not playing this game of like losing any of our top prospects. But if you're moving up in the draft, that's where, I mentioned Lucas Raymond and you went, absolutely not. But I think that's when you call, those are the things that I guess if we're talking the Devils, they are going to be leaning closer towards Edmondson. But the questions get easier to answer. Like, what are you willing to give up to, go to the middle of the draft as opposed to, or middle of the first round? Mike, it looks like you're going to throw up now. You have your hand over your mouth.
No, I was just, cause moving back is always really sexy, but you got to like find trade partners to do it. So, I mean, you could maybe look at like Winnipeg. They have like 14, but they also have, all the way down to like number 30. I don't know how attractive that is for people. Or the Sabres have 16 and 28. I don't know if they're really in a spot where they want to, draft number 8 and number 9. Maybe they do. But I mean, that's the calls you'd be making. You'd be getting 16 and 28. You'd be getting, 14 and 30, or the Ducks at 10 and 22. But it kind of feels like they purposefully, that was part of that Lindholm trade. To get the extra pick. I don't know if they want to necessarily, hey, speaking of 10 and 22, how about we just get marginally better at number 8 and give away a bonus first rounder? So I don't know if the Ducks really want to be a part of that. I think what you would have to do is trade into the first round, not trade back. So that means you have to give up a second rounder and probably an NHL player. Joe Veleno. Sorry.
Chewy throwing out there, it's probably the Hawaiian shirt, which is making me lose my lunch. Eric, what's funny is he also threw in must be the shirt.
I think it's Lalonde. I think it's that Lalonde news is taking Matt down.
Roaring Fork, Mike. Who says no on Roaring Fork's proposal here? Who says no? Bert, Johansson, Booyam to New Jersey for the number 2.
Yzerman.
Really? All right. All right.
For Shane Wright? I mean, an NHL guy and 2 top prospects for a guy who hasn't played in the NHL yet? Yeah, I think Yzerman says no.
All right. All right. I'm wondering if Bert is long for this Red Wings world.
We'd want a little more. We'd need an NHL player. That's too much.
All right. All right. I might have said New Jersey said no. You don't really know what you're getting with Johansson, Booyah. Bert, you know what you're getting. But I also come back to, like, is that the difference maker for New Jersey? And they also are going to have to pay him too. Like, obviously, Steve Yzerman has zero interest in paying Bert for what he brings to the NHL.
Can you pull that trade offer back up real quick?
Yeah.
Because I think Yzerman says no. But the Roaring Fork, what would you say to that trade? Who says no? I kind of want to know.
Well, he proposed it. That's hard to say because
I thought he was just trying to propose a fair offer. What he saw was fair. So is he saying that he would say yes to that as the Red Wings?
I don't know. I will say from Roaring Fork's perspective, I think he can answer that question, but it's hard to say when it's your trade proposal because you know that's the fair deal to Roaring Fork.
Not in this draft. I think because it feels like the consensus is that Shane Wright is not, like Connor McDavid. He's very good, but this isn't a Connor McDavid draft. For a Connor McDavid draft, I would absolutely visit that. But for Shane Wright, he hasn't quite.
Roaring Fork is actually bringing up a good point. You save an asset, actually, in doing that trade as opposed to giving up the number 8 pick because you get to you hold on to that draft pick, and now maybe you're picking up Lekkerimaki, right?
My apologies. For some reason, I just assumed our draft pick would be included. If we're not including that top 8 pick, then yeah, I'd do that trade.
Oh, cool. All right.
I'm sorry.
Well,
yeah,
there you go.
I apologize.
We're all on board. I liked it. Mike's on board. All right. Eric does say he thinks New Jersey says no.
See, that's tough because New Jersey, a lot of their prospects are starting to get there, so maybe they do want some NHL ready guys. And Johnny P, there's my buddy, performance art.
When the hell are we getting a coach?
Well, probably the next 12 hours or so.
The second we stop recording. And then Johnny P says, Matt looks like an episode of Blow.
Matt looks like Butcher from The Boys.
Yeah, that's what I've been
hope he doesn't start dropping C-bombs on us.
You don't like that? All right. There's a lot of new TV. Like Stranger Things is out there. We just had Obi-Wan.
Miss Marvel. Big fan.
It is pretty cute. The Boys is the best TV show. It's the best show on streaming networks. It's the best show available. I shouldn't even put an asterisk of streaming networks. The Boys is consistently turning in, like, I just giggle the whole time. What was it? It was the Hero-gasm episode just came out where there's just a bunch of heroes and there's that one guy with the super huge thing that was like tickling everybody's ear, which I thought was hilarious. I could not stop laughing.
That show I will put up there with like Better Call Saul for like appointment viewing when the new ones come out. I can't wait to watch it because like the violence is so well done. The comedy is really like, knee slapping funny, but the writing is so strong where it feels like there's actual weight to the drama. Like I'm going to say that show might have the best villain in TV history. And I feel even including, like if we do like a Breaking Bad again, including Gus Fring, he's a better villain. I would say Homelander's a better villain.
Girl who blows up heads, boys. Victoria Newman. Oh man, wait, is that her? Maybe that's not her. Was none other. Oh, wait.
She's the one who's supposed to look like that state rep AOC in New York.
Maybe that's why I have a huge crush on her. Yeah,
that's why she was cast. She's supposed to be the stand-in for that, like the progressive.
So the actress's name is Claudia Dumet. I have the biggest crush in the world right now on her. Oh my gosh. Whew, I love watching The Boys.
Yeah, really good
Where
show.
were we?
Better not show your kids. So,
Yeah,
a lot of R-rated stuff in there.
It's for adults. All right.
Yeah.
Oh no! Spoiler alert! Come on. Whoops! Wait, which spoiler did we talk about? What did
Don't repeat it. You gave away. You gave away part of the new episode.
Wait, what did I say? Oh, right. Well, you know what? Technically, it's a recreation from the comic book, so it's already out. The spoiler's out there. They just,
You know what, Johnny P? He does this to me all the time, and I'm glad that now we have it on tape. It was you the whole time. Yes. Your Honor, it was Matt. We got him.
Oh, I did want to point out, where was it? Somebody, Dan B. Without number 8, no way New Jersey makes that deal. I'm on board. I will take that trade, no problem, from a Red Wings fan perspective. But I agree with Dan. That's what I was saying earlier. I thought New Jersey would say no to that. Justin thrown out there, Philip Zadina, Shai to LA for Alex Turcotte and the 2023 third-round draft pick. Shai Buyam is from San Diego, California, which I will point out is it's actually a lot further it's closer to LA than Detroit is, but it's a bit of a drive, isn't it? It's like a 2-hour drive.
Wait, from where?
San Diego to LA.
Yeah, you can do that in a couple hours. That's not too bad.
All right, Mike. Who says no?
Whoever is acquiring Zadina. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know it's a low risk move, and I think we would have to throw in the draft pick, so it'd be a third rounder, Zadina and Shea. Is it Buyam for Turcotte?
Shai.
Yeah.
All right, Matt's gonna go throw up. We just went 20 extra minutes. I'm sorry for everybody that just joined, but I'm gonna die. I'm literally sweating my balls off right now, even though it's 60 degrees in my basement. My whole family's sick. Final thoughts, Cutter, if he gets drafted, I'll be fine with it, but I'm still a Frank Nazar fan. And I tell you guys what, next week when we do our last episode before the draft, right? That would be our last episode before the draft. We will go through highest ceilings, highest floors, and we'll kind of rank which guys we want. We're going to rank them, based on our own list. We've kind of teased the list a couple of times, but we think that we've pointed out all the guys that are legit possibilities for the Red Wings in our last, month and a half here. So we're going to go through that list and anybody we've missed, and then maybe we'll look at round number 2. So, that'll be our draft preview, and we'll be coming at you guys. What do you think, Mike? Is we go back on the Wednesday schedule, or?
Yeah, we can do that next week. That shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. All
right, July 6th. We'll see you guys for a draft preview, and then you know what? We'll have to be back around on social media because it's the NHL Draft. Oh, and of course, I'll do a surprise episode if
Lalonde.
Yeah, once we sign our new coach.
Oh.
Right, because we would have Grönborg would already be a Red Wing.
I know. My dream was that they were just going to interview him, be like, okay, we were wrong. Let's go to Sweden. But no.
Well, yeah, did you see Barry Trotz was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm good. He's just like, even his hometown Winnipeg had kind of been acting like, all right, Barry's coming home. And Barry was just like, nah, I think he didn't actually retire, but he's done for now. So he's still available for good teams, but not for the Jets, not for the Red Wings. All right.
Wonderful.
We'll keep an eye out, and everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Toodles.